Thank you, Presiding Officer. I represent a hugely rural region with many of Scotland's hard-working farmers, and I wanted to speak in this motion today. As the Government's motion states, I want to applaud the progress that has already been made by the agriculture and aquaculture sectors to adapt to and to mitigate the impact of the twin global climate and biodiversity crisis. Our farmers face a huge amount of pressure in the media and, as NFU Scotland point out, can often feel vilified and blamed for causing climate change. That isn't the case. Our farmers and fishers are the food producers. They are working incredibly hard to mitigate the impact of climate change, and the evidence shows that, particularly here in Scotland, our farmers, crofters and food producers have already hugely adapted to these practices to protect our environment and reduce their carbon footprint. Much of this change has been made possible through investment in agricultural sciences and emerging technologies, and I've witnessed much research, including at SRUC Barney campus, the Dairy Nexus, for instance, and vertical farming, which has been mentioned by John Swinney already. I know from farmers in Dumfries and Galloway that they are installing on-farm renewable energy, renewable production of their energy, such as solar panels and wind turbines, minimising use of petroleum-based fertilisers and pesticides, and reducing dependence on fossil fuel inputs for their farming, their storage and their transportation of crops and livestock. They are increasing soil health by increasing plant matter and building soil fertility through practices such as compost application, plant and cover crops and reduced or no-till cultivation. My constituent, Christopher Nicholson, Chair of the Scottish Tenant Farmers Association, who farms in Whithorn, hasn't ploughed or deep cultivated for over 20 years. He says it's a big cost saving in less fuel and machinery, but now Chris also sees improved soil health and higher soil organic matter. And soil health is absolutely crucial for food security, and COCAB Stewart spoke about that as well. Presiding Officer, the Scottish Government's vision is for Scotland to become a global leader in sustainable and regenerative agriculture. And there is no contradiction between high-quality food production and food security and producing food in a way that delivers for the climate and nature. I don't think I have time, Presiding Officer, because the last time I took an intervention from the member, he made a speech, and I think we're out of time. So, the Scottish Government is continuing to support food production and secure food supply in this country. The Scottish Government recognises the importance of maintaining support for the sector. This is why it has committed to maintaining direct payments. Additional support is provided to the food producing sector by ensuring payments through the Basic Payment Scheme and greening payments. They were made in advance. And annually, this Government provides around £420 million through these schemes. However, in the face of the support the Scottish Government is taking to support our food producers, we are continually hammered by UK Government policies. And again, as the motion states, the food and drink sector in Scotland and across the UK has borne the brunt of the clarty, yes, clarty, Brexit pursued by the UK Government, particularly through the loss of free trade and free movement. And Martin Kennedy, the President of NFU Scotland, said the Brexit dividend certainly hasn't come about at all, and all the things that they were concerned about, the whole reason that we backed Remain at the time, they've all come to fruition. Scotland's food and drink sector lost many of the benefits that it once had when we were trading with the European Union and we were part of a single market. Many Scottish food industries, including seafood and cheese producers and livestock transporters across Galloway in my South Scotland region, have suffered from reduced exports to the EU. At a time when food security faces unprecedented threats, it was appallingly reckless for the UK Government to place our trading relationship with the EU in jeopardy. And I absolutely welcome that the Cabinet Secretary established a food security unit in response to the war in Ukraine, and the unit will look at current and future threats to ensure food resilience across Scotland. I welcome that the Cabinet Secretary has done that. Presiding Officer, indeed, Brexit means that the Scottish Government no longer has a long-term certainty of funding. and the unilateral choices that are being imposed by the Treasury providing insufficient replacement EU funding is a huge concern. The Scottish Government has been clear and consistent in its position. It expects full equivalence replacement of EU funds to ensure that there is no detriment to our finances, and expects the UK Government to fully respect the devolution settlement in any future arrangement. However, the Scottish Government has no clarity about the future budget and already faces a shortfall of £93 million because those guarantees have not been honoured. Finally, Presiding Officer, I am proud of our farmers in Scotland. We should all be proud of our Scottish farmers. They are our food producers, they are the custodians of our land, and they deserve our thanks. And tonight, at decision time, I will support the Scottish Government's motion. Thank you, Presiding Officer.